is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Buonantony, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for hanging out with us as we welcome you into Hour 2 of the Lombardi Line presented by DraftKings. We're live on VSiN and DraftKings Network. He's Michael Lombardi. I'm Stormy Buonantony. A lot to get to over the course of the next hour. It's a no way, no doubt day, so we're going to have a little fun coming up in the next segment. VSiN's Mike Palm, also VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino, where I'm broadcasting from. He's going to stop by in studio for the final half hour of the program. Always great when he's able to join us on set live. And our poll, Michael, is taking a ton of votes. So for anybody who missed it from hour 1, we have a live poll up right now on Michael's Twitter at MLombardiNFL for who is the most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL. Michael, Tyreek Hill still pulling ahead with 36% of the vote, over 1,200 votes in tow right now. But it looks like TJ Watt's creeping up there at 31%.
Oh, those Steeler fans, you know, one thing about Steeler fans, they're like Bear fans, only they actually have had proven success when they bet. They're going to come through for you. I mean, that Steeler Mafia is strong now. And look, look at the record of the Steelers when Watt plays and when he doesn't. You know, yeah. I mean, they're different defense. He's relentless. He can play the run. They can play their nickel front with him in the game. They can play a base front with him in the game. Look, I mean, I love Tyreek Hill, and he's certainly – poor Nick Bosa. I mean, the guy's getting no respect. He's Rodney Dangerfield over here, getting no respect at all. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the league. He's almost – he requires a double team on every block. Meanwhile, he's in fourth place in a four-player field. Just not fair.
I know.
Not fair.
With two wide receivers on the list, too.
We've gone the other way with these receivers. It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable. We see these guys getting contracts, and we just see how fast Tyreek Hill is, and it's got to be them. No, I agree that, especially because we talk so much about how, like, you don't want to pay the wide receiver to make the quarterback better. You want to do it the other way around, yada, yada, yada. Like, Tyreek Hill is one of those challenges and those players that strikes fear in a defensive coordinator. We talk about the importance of that so much. Nick Bosa, I'm saying this is all recency bias that he's not getting any love here, because if we put this poll up at the end of last season, the year prior, then he'd be getting a whole hell of a lot more votes. And it's not like he had a bad season this year by any means. Neither here nor there. I do love all of the Christian McCaffrey love in the comments. I agree with you as far as like non-valuable asset to your team that impacts what we view as like that offense being able to operate, impacts the line. He's one of those guys as well. But pass rushers for us, as we discussed in hour 1, probably lead the charge in most impactful. I'll be excited to get Mike Palm's thoughts on that a little bit later on when he joins us as well. Today, Michael, in addition to being game 1 of the NBA Finals, Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks going head to head, the NBA got overtaken with other news this morning that apparently the reports we had initially heard of the Los Angeles Lakers dialing in their plan for J.J. Redick to come be the next head coach. The Woj bomb hits this morning, and apparently they are actually going as hard and fast as possible to land Danny Hurley, the UConn Huskies' back-to-back national championship winning coach.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't uncommon in any sport, really, when you think about it, Stormy. I mean, Joe Paterno was inches away becoming the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach before Chuck Noll, but because after he just won the Orange Bowl in a 2-point play, the Orange Bowl featuring Penn State versus Kansas of all teams, with the great John Riggins as a running back for the Kansas Jayhawks. So we see this all the time. As you've mentioned earlier in the show, we've seen college football take Jim Harbaugh to the Los Angeles Chargers. But this one, to me, is a little bit of a residual effect of the NIL, how hard it is to change your team every single year, and the lure of a brand like the Lakers that comes to you. Can Dan Hurley be successful? Look, I think Dan Hurley's smart enough to know how you have to adjust your style of coaching to the pro athlete, but you're dealing with pro athletes in college. It's one and done. You say something wrong to some kid, they're transferred. You say something wrong to some player in the NBA, he can't go anywhere. He's got a contract. So at least you have that going for you. But look, I think the one thing about this is where we are now that it's come out, right? It's the worst thing for Connecticut's program is for it to get out. They've done a great job of not letting it out. But to me, once it got to this point, you know it's going to get done. Unless Hurley does exactly what Paterno did, take the job, sleep on it, and then resign from the job.
And he is somebody who, despite being a part of like the first family of college basketball, basically, right, that he has talked about how the NBA is the dream. And when you're having success the way that you have at UConn, I understand wanting to stay there and wanting to continue to build and win that third straight national championship. And when the Kentucky job came open, no, there's not. I'm not going to truly entertain that because I've been able to build something so special here in a place that's close to my heart. But when the Los Angeles Lakers come calling in a historic franchise like that, and the opportunity to coach one of the greatest players of all time in the twilight of his career and see how you can close that, and get paid, because according to the reports, it's going to be a massive long-term deal that he's been approached with, that's something you have to entertain and understand. And no one would blame him if he took that either. You're going to go to sunny Los Angeles, right? The difference of situation as well, like we talked about with the collegiate sports side of it too, I think is really, really impactful, because for as much as we want to talk about the impact this is going to have on the Lakers or the impact this is going to have on UConn moving forward, who by the way is still the favorite to win another national championship where things sit right now on DraftKings. There's a lot of roads to this. But I think in college sports as a whole, they are quasi-professional sports now, and they don't have it figured out. I think going to an actual professional sports league that does is much more appealing.
Yeah, there's no rules. I mean, you're playing a game that doesn't have any rules. I mean, we see kids leave one program and go to another after taking NIL money. Yep. We see a kid going to the courts to sue a coach because he was promised $13 million. I can't even imagine that some high school kid would be able to garner $13 million and he doesn't play quarterback. It made no sense to me, but this is the landscape. And because we can't get college administrators or the NC2A to at least put some kind of rules that are maybe collectively bargained into place, it's going to be the wild, wild west.
Yeah, that's the perfect thing. And that's what we keep on hearing, right? It's the wild, wild west. It's college football free agency. It's all these things. And I mean, we just saw the NCAA and Power 5 conferences reach a deal that lets schools pay their players a $3 billion settlement. There's a lot going on that's not figured out in college football right now, in college basketball right now, and all of collegiate athletics. So something to keep an eye on. Nothing is confirmed as of yet, but you don't spend, Adrian Wojnarowski doesn't spend 2 hours to 4 hours to 6 hours on television this morning talking about it if it's not real and if it's not there. Let's go to the NBA Finals, though, coming up tonight, which gets overshadowed now by the Woj bomb. But the Boston Celtics, a minus 210 favorite in the series. We also see them a 6.5-point favorite here in Game 1 coming up tonight at TD Garden. And like I was talking about, we didn't get to dive fully into it in my Storm warning, but I just think 6.5 points is too many for this Dallas Mavericks team, Michael, who has not lost a game by more than 5 points in a month.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand the line. I think that the Celtics are a little bit, when you go back to it and you look at, I think what Game 1 against the Pacers, they were a 9.5 point favorite in that game. And I just think, to me, there's an opportunity where, they could have lost Game 1 easily, right? They could have lost Game 1 and they didn't, and they could have lost, Game 3 and they didn't. And I think, to me, there's a little bit of an overvalue here I see for this game. And they lose by 5. They lost the opening game by 5. Now, you could say, well, the Pacers, the Celtics didn't take them seriously. Look, I think they realize that Kyrie Irving's a good player. Luka's one of the best players in the world. So it's not going to be an easy walk in the park. Yeah, we got this one. But I'll say this, though. Everything comes down to the three-point line. And if Boston shoots well, it's going to be a hard game for the Mavericks. There's no question.
But as I said earlier, too, I don't think that the Mavericks, when it comes to their perimeter defense, are going to give them the open look three-point shot, right? They're going to do a good job defending, and to the point where Boston's going to still settle for threes because that's their game instead of trying to drive the lane on them. So, I understand what you're saying, and I think that Boston's going to win games in this series because there are going to be days that the threes are going to fall. I just find that hard to believe in a Game 1 setting the tone that every three is going to fall in their favor too. And we talk about about Dallas being an underdog. They are so familiar with being in this role, not only covering, but winning games outright as a dog. In fact, Dallas has won twice as many games as a dog this postseason as Boston has even been a dog throughout the entirety of this year. We also know that the Dallas Mavericks are the best clutch team in the NBA throughout the course of the season. And Celtics, don't get me wrong, have had their moments in the playoffs, but Dallas has proven that that's part of their game, and they don't have one. They have two closers in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So I know we try to stay away from these like trendy public bets. Lots of people, 70% of the bets are on the Mavericks today. I feel like that's the side, and I know that the Kristaps Porzingis portion of it is there too, who will be available tonight, but I kind of err on the side of we don't know what we're going to get with him, and it's hard to just inject somebody back into your lineup coming off an injury.
Yeah, and we don't know his conditioning. We don't know how much quickness he has. I mean, look, he's a great rim defender for them, and they are the best rim defending team in the NBA. They're also the third best scoring team in points per minute. But Dallas is really good in that area too. Dallas is second. I think the Clippers are first. But look, Dallas has been through the mill here. I mean, they beat the number 1 seed, the number 3, and the number 4 seed in the West. They're not here by fluke, and neither is Boston. Let's be clear. I'm not saying Boston doesn't deserve to be here by no means. But what I am saying is I think when you look at it, you have to be objective and say, okay, Miami they had guys hurt. All of a sudden, here it comes, and next thing you know, the next series they're hurt. I just think, to me, it shows up. And I think when you look at it, it's 6.5 seems a little disrespectful to me. It really does.
The path is a real thing, and it's a conversation topic for a reason. Again, this is another topic I think will be really fun to get in with Mike Palm when he joins us for the final half hour. We're going to hit our first break of hour 2. When we come back, time for No Way or No Doubt. You won't want to miss it. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Bonatoni, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Act now and save big. For a limited time here at VSiN, you can get our annual subscription for an unbeatable price, usually $240. You can now subscribe for just $199. And when you use our promo code Lombardi, we're throwing in an extra month for free. That's 13 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day. With VSiN Pro, you'll gain instant access to our daily best bets from all of our show hosts and guests, real-time betting splits, exclusive betting systems, premium analysis, and 24/7 video content. Don't miss out, though. This offer will end soon. VSiN.com/subscribe. Use that promo code Lombardi to claim your discount and bonus month.
Do you disagree with these takes?
No way.
No way.
Or do you approve?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt in my mind.
No diggity, no doubt. It's time to ask Michael Lombardi. No way or no doubt.
This is one of my favorite segments that we do each and every week, so let's get into it. And believe it or not, Michael, we're going to start with hockey, but with a little bit of NFL flair here, because the Florida Panthers played in the Stanley Cup final a year ago. They lost in 5 games to the Vegas Golden Knights, and they are back with a vengeance. Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch was asked about the experience that the Florida Panthers have. Take a listen.
Yeah, experience is good. I don't know how much experience is, beneficial. You can ask the Buffalo Bills how important Super Bowl experience is. But I think the biggest thing is just having confidence to play. And, when our guys are playing their best, they should have a lot of confidence.
The Buffalo Bills catching strays, Michael. No way or no doubt, though, championship experience is overrated in professional sports. What do you think?
I think it is a little bit overrated. I mean, look, these kids, and certainly in hockey at a very young age, handle the pressure. They're in a lot of pressure situations. And it's the job of the coach to remove that pressure. It's the job of the coach to basically do what they did in the movie Hoosiers and measure the court and make sure everybody knows it's 10 feet high and the court's this wide and it's this long. And really, it's about the moment. It's staying in the moment. The biggest thing about championship games is your team gets ahead of itself. We want to win. All everybody talks about is winning. When you and I both know it's not who's going to win, it's how we play. When you watch the Bills play the Chiefs, you get the feeling the Bills are going to win the game all throughout the game, and yet they don't. So I think that's the job of the coach is to keep the players in the moment. And that's the hardest challenge he has or she has, because they just want to win. They want to win the first quarter. They want the game to be over. They want it to be the path of least. It's not. It's hard. That's why we're here. It's challenging. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. It's going to be really difficult. They're going to score. They're good. We're going to score. We're good. It's about who has the resiliency. And I think he's right. Don't overrate it. Just stay in the moment.
And I think what's even more important for the Florida Panthers than experience is just the fact that they're healthy. Last year in the Stanley Cup final, they could hardly ice a team, and now they've got everybody back better than ever. Also, Michael, because you'd know better than I just think about that stretch for Buffalo where you get to the hardest game to get to and you lose in a heartbreaker. You claw all the way back the next year and you get torched all the way back one more time. You fall again one more time. Oh, so it just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, we'll stick with the theme of the NFL, though, because we have seen so many players as mandatory minicamps get underway not showing up. They're taking the fines now. And a lot of people like myself are wondering, is this a good tactic or not? No way or no doubt, minicamp and training camp holdouts are an effective negotiating tactic for players.
No way squared. It's the dumbest thing of all. It's so stupid. You're just giving away money. You're trying to become something bigger than you're not. Look, let's just analyze what holdouts do. If I withhold my services and you don't have my services, you lose money, or you'll lose a game, or the trash won't get picked up, or the grass doesn't get cut. You know, there's cause and effect. There's no effect here. It's just all cause. You're holding out with no effect on the team. And yet the only effect is on you because you're giving away $100,000. Mm-hmm. How is that smart? It's like when I said, and of course everybody on the Worldwide Leader defended it, when Le'Veon Bell gave away a whole year of salary. Oh, it was a smart thing to do. He'll make it up. Of course he never made it up. He even admitted it was a dumb thing. This is a dumb thing. Trust me. When these kids when CeeDee Lamb's 60, I'll be long gone. But he's going to wish he had that $100K back. Look, I know one thing about players. They value the per diem as much as they value the signing bonus. Per diem might be $100 a day. The signing bonus might be $10 million. It's the same. And for them to just give away money with no effect, it's the dumbest thing in the world.
Oh, you know they love getting that little plastic baggie on the charter plane with their cash in it, of course. And as somebody who, by the way, made $23,000 for my first job out of college, when you can tell when you get to make these big contracts that you just forget about the value of a dollar completely, because $100,000 is a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one player that didn't show up to camp is CeeDee Lamb. Micah Parsons did. Dak Prescott there as well. But the trio of top players for the Dallas Cowboys eligible for new contracts here. No way or no doubt, Dak Prescott should be the lowest priority signing of these trio of pending contracts.
No doubt. I agree with that. Look, Dak's making good money. Dak's contract shouldn't be that hard to do, but you got to get these other two guys to be on the roster and to be effective. I think Dak should be. He should wait in line. He's already had a taste at the apple. These other guys are young. I don't think the CeeDee Lamb's contract's hard to do. You take Jefferson's deal, you add $135 million over 4 as opposed to $140, and you say, okay, here you go. I'll give you $135 plus the 17-year-old. I'll give you $100 million in guaranteed money. You're going to earn it anyway. Off we go. It's not that hard. It should not be that hard of a contract to do. The Dak one becomes a little bit more complicated because you need to figure out how to spread the money. You need to look at your team and how the cap numbers are going to affect your team going up. See, I think to me what you don't want to do is do Dak and then try to fit everybody else in around Dak. What you want to do is set your team up, get everybody's contract done. Okay, now Dak comes in. We need low cap numbers in years 1, 2. We needed this in 3. We think the cap. And so it's got to be strategic around that, and then you work the contract in that form.
Okay, while on quarterback contracts, how about this one? No way or no doubt, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love will all have new deals before training camp.
I think there's no doubt they will, and it makes sense too, Because the one thing that training camp signals is there will be contact. And the potential for injury is always one of the great negotiating tools you have. Right now, nobody thinks they're going to get hurt. Look, T. Higgins isn't even signing his contract, and it's fully guaranteed. He's got $22 million out there on the street. All he's got to do is walk and pick it up, and it puts it in his pocket. But he didn't sign it. I mean, if he gets, God forbid, if something happens to him, he loses out on that money. It's not fair. And so sometimes, when you have a contract, you pick up the money. But when you get into football and you start having contact and there's actually hitting going on, and it's not a 7-on-7 drill where everybody's great and, and this guy's completing passes and the ball never touched the ground, then for me, I think it's pretty clear that, the contracts get done. Remember this. I believe fear does the work of reason. Fear of getting injured, fear of not having the money there, fear of waiting does the work of reason.
Well, one guy who has already secured the bag, Justin Jefferson, he's on site, and he was asked about some of the quarterback changes with Kirk Cousins on his way out. You get J.J. McCarthy in the draft and bring in Sam Darnold. He said all the quarterback changes that happened didn't really affect me that much. I have talked to J.J. as soon as he got drafted. I told him confidence is key and added he'll definitely be that main person J.J. can lean on and help throughout the way. But I'm curious your thoughts on Justin Jefferson's production now with this new situation. No way or no doubt his production will take a step back with McCarthy and Darnold at quarterback.
Well, there's no doubt it will because, look, we know McCarthy's not going to be as good as Kirk Cousins. But, we saw last year that whether it's Joshua Dobbs, Nick Mullins, they were able to get the ball to him. And I think Kevin O'Connell will do a good job of getting him the football. But look, the reality of it is quarterbacks are going to change. They're going to go through some of this, and it happens all the time. And you just have to be adaptive to it. And I think Jefferson's right. Look, I give Jefferson credit. He got in touch with J.J. McCarthy as soon as they drafted him. Meanwhile, Robert Saleh, he couldn't get in touch with Hassan Reddick as soon as they made the trade. How is this possible? How is this? Maybe Jefferson should be the head coach of the Jets. At least he had enough common sense to get in touch with his quarterback. Meanwhile, Saleh, I don't have time to talk to Hassan Reddick, even though we traded a third-round pick for. I don't want to talk to him. What would I talk to him for? Well, Come on, give me a break.
Oh, it's not unusual. When reporters ask him, oh, no, it's not unusual. Totally normal. Totally normal, Robert Saleh. Yeah, okay. Speaking of Justin Jefferson, he is getting 19.3% of our vote right now in who's the most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL. The vote is going to close soon. Make sure you get in there. Head to at M. Lombardi NFL on X. Who do you think is the most valuable non-quarterback? We'll read some comments. We'll give an update on the list and see who Mike Palm thinks should be the number one option on this list, as well as a whole lot more. We'll be right back on the Lombardi Line. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Buonantony, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
In addition to watching and listening to VSiN, don't forget about all the great betting tools and content at VSiN.com. We got best bets from all of our hosts and guests, betting splits, pro tips and trends, and right now on the homepage, betting previews for both the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals. Game 1 in the NBA Finals coming up tonight. Whether you're looking for series plays and props or game-by-game breakdowns, we've got you covered. Plus, our own Michael Lombardi's got a new column live on the website, why the Miami Dolphins should be concerned for 2024. Check it all out at VSiN.com. Also, quickly, an update on our poll. Who is the most valuable non-quarterback in the NFL? Tyreek Hill continues to lead the way at 36.7%. Michael Lombardi, Stormy Buonantony with you as we welcome in for the final half hour. Mike Palm, VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino, Golden Gate, the D, does great stuff with us at VSiN. Already busy as can be with Follow the Money this morning. But can we start there real quickly? Non-quarterback, most valuable player. Who comes to mind first?
Well, I would suspect Tyreek Hill would be first. And Michael made the campaign for him as MVP last year. About halfway through the season, and you called it, a St. Jude ticket. I remember that show very well. I was driving and listening. Who came in second? I would be interested to who. Is it a defensive player?
TJ Watt.
Okay, I would figure. How about, who I'd put in the top 5? Justin Tucker. I don't think there's any other kicker that if they were out would move a point spread. But it's seriously, I mean, that's how good this guy is, and people don't think about it because it's a kicker. But I think that he's that important. And in the pressing three, we'll get into a kicker issue for that one team suddenly has.
Michael, did we leave Justin Tucker out?
Well, I mean, Mike makes a great point. You know, we all just think these kickers are just, everybody has one. I mean, but when you look at Harrison Buckner missed 2 kicks inside of 40 yards, that's it. He's 5 for 5 outside of the 50-yard line. I mean, look at the Philly kicker that gets overtime against Buffalo, makes that, long kick of 60-some yards. It's unbelievable. Like, they're a weapon. I mean, look at your 49ers. I mean, they struggled early in the year because their kicker was struggling. And eventually, even in the Super Bowl, he's still struggling. So, and then he kind of got his nerves settled down. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, they're like closers in baseball. Everybody thinks they have one until they miss a kick.
Michael, why you got to open up old wounds there? I didn't need that right now to close out the show today. By the way, we did get one of the responses to the tweet, Justin Tucker, but no one will admit it. Benny Bronco with that one. So
Absolutely.
Good on you.
Great. Benny Bronco, congrats. You think well. You can't put Butker on the list, obviously. He's scorched earth. He said mothers might love their children.
He's canceled now, so stick to kicking. What did you think?
They won't let him go in Kansas City.
Oh, no.
Mike, they won't let him go. Kansas City, I mean, look, Kansas City went through the Tyreek Hill thing. They don't. They're going on.
Look at Kyrie Irving. Talent wins out, right? You're gonna find out.
One of those Hunt granddaughters will be told.
God, did you see that interview? Did you see that? Lord help us. Okay, enough of that. Let's go to the NBA because the finals do get underway today. How are things being played here at Circa?
Dallas. Dallas is taking some money. In the future book, we begged for the Celtics. It's like the best result ever. Who was going to bet them? Their price was so low, Stormy, for months. All the problems of the Eastern teams. Milwaukee was a mess. Injuries, Miami. Injuries, New York. Embiid, right? It was an open path. And it was. So we took a hit in the West because we had money on the Mavs to win the West. But the big liability was the T-Wolves to win it all. So we took the bite there. Now, Celtics take care of business, and they are a $2 favorite. It's a good result for us. But, if the Mavericks win, then it's kind of a push to the future book there. But I think they'll bet the Mavericks in from game to game as well. I'm interested on how they're going to push the totals. This is an interesting series. I can see the handicap on both sides. The game tonight, I like the first quarter, first half under. I think these teams, in a finals where you only play each other twice a year, you're still feeling each other out. So I don't know that the pace will be that quick. Dallas has been very good half-court defensively. Boston's going to shoot 40, 50 threes tonight. Well, they will because Dallas defends the rim so well, and they want to shoot threes anyhow. So it's going to be interesting. I think there are matchup problems. I didn't pull the trigger and bet Dallas. The only bet I made was over 5.5 games, minus 150. I think it will be a close series, but there are matchup problems. Who are you going to put Luka on? Who are you going to put Kyrie on too, because you don't want to burn up all his energy on the defensive end, and those guards are going to make you do that. I guess you'd play Luka on Horford is probably the best match. But anyhow, there are matchup problems. Porzingis is going to play. I mean, how many minutes is he going to play? What kind of rhythm is he going to have tonight? That's a big X factor. But I think it should be a good and entertaining series, and good from a betting standpoint, Stormy.
Mike, I have a very serious question I've been dying to ask you all day. That's really important. Being a guy who grew up in the Midwest and goes back to Chicago and spends a lot of time. 39 years ago, the great Ferris Bueller had a day off. And I know Stormy is too young to remember Ferris's day off, which he had a lovely day, went to Wrigley Field, And so I want to know, the first time you saw that movie, did you laugh as hard as I did?
I did. I mean, it's an all-time classic, right? And we still remember all the lines from Bueller, and a very much a coming-of-age film, but also a film that adults of all ages could enjoy, and a Chicago classic. So, interesting talking about those Chicago coming-of-age films. The Breakfast Club, as we remember, that was that whole group. That high school where the Breakfast Club was filmed is now the headquarters of the Illinois Gaming Commission.
What?
And / lottery commission. Half of it is lottery. Yeah. When Derek and Greg Stevens had to go and get their license in Illinois, they went to that high school and were interviewed. And so it was pretty neat.
That's not the tie that you would
expect. And just since we're on a Chicago theme, Stormy, the Home Alone house is up for sale. If you have $4.5 million, you can buy the home in, I don't forget the name of that town that it's in, but it looks the same. The inside's vastly different, but it looks the same.
We're going a little bit deeper here on movies than I expected. But while we're on this topic of places like that, I'm going to throw you one more. The Breaking Bad show filmed in Albuquerque, the house that Walter White used to live in, and the throw the pizza scene and all of that. That house is now occupied by someone else, and they have to put all these signs outside that say, please don't throw a pizza on our roof, because people would do that and take pictures and video of it. Fascinating.
Winnetka is where the Home Alone house is, the suburb of Winnetka. That Breaking Bad kind of got me through pandemic. I went back and watched. It's a really terrific show. And the scene, his brother-in-law, right, the FBI agent, I think is a great actor. But that scene, that shootout scene in the desert where his brother-in-law gets killed, might be one of the best episodes of TV ever.
I watched that series all the way through the Fly episode. And if you've watched that show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I said, I got to take a break. So I took a couple months off, and then I came back to it. And I was so glad that I came back to it and finished it, because it was amazing. Okay, enough of movies. I have something other very pressing I need to talk to you about. I love the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup final, and I'm getting worried at how much I'm hearing other people also love the Florida Panthers, considering that this number hasn't really moved very much. It's 135 now, roughly. How do you feel about this?
Well, Edmonton has played very well, and if you go back, really since McDavid came back and with the new coach, they played a much different style. The fact that they could hold the Stars to no power play goals is really amazing. I don't think they can do that to Florida. I think Florida just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. I think it could be a short series, Stormy. I would bet Panthers in 5. I'm with Eddie O.
Play the 1.5 games.
Game 1, probably an over here. I wouldn't mind looking at them on the puck lines in these games. If I could be dead wrong about Edmonton, I didn't touch the Stars series until I bet Edmonton in Game 6 to get off my exacta ticket. But the Stars were in trouble in that series. They didn't dominate. And even in the Game 3 where they come on the road and they win, they were down, right, 2-0. And then they get the 2-goal lead in Game 4. I think that turned it all. I thought he would pull Skinner. He didn't. Remember at that time that it was 5 or 7 shots to 1. The whole rest of the game, Edmonton outplayed them. And I wouldn't be so concerned if people say, oh, the shots on goal and the less. When Edmonton got the lead, they played very buttoned up defensively, right? And so that's what created all the shots for the Stars and the little opportunities. I've been wrong about Edmonton in the playoffs for 4 years now. I can't get on the right side of them, right? They knocked me out of my future ticket.
So were you betting on them each of the last 2 years, and then this year you were not?
The year that they had beaten Winnipeg 7 straight and then got swept in the first round, I had a huge future on. That was the bubble. And so I had bet them to win that quadrant, that they would make the Final Four. And they got swept after they had dominated Winnipeg. And I've never really recovered from that. I mean, it's just, I can't get on the right side of Edmonton.
We all have those teams that you can't bet on, can't bet against. No matter what you do, it's wrong. It's just, we all have them.
Michael, I want to ask you quickly. I know I'm going to run you into the break, but the news about Hurley, does this make sense to you? First of all, if he was really being considered, we didn't hear about it at all until today, at 3 a.m. today, the day of the finals. But anyhow, from a perspective of Hurley, why would you want to take this job?
Well, I think you're dealing in professional basketball in college, and there's no rules. And at least if you go to the NBA, there are rules, and you're probably, instead of making $8 million in stores, you're probably going to make $20 million a year, thanks to Monty Williams. I mean, the salaries of NBA coaches is going through the roof. And I'm sure they're going to give him a 6-year deal like Billy Donovan got when he went to Oklahoma City or Chicago. And you're talking about financial security for the rest of your life with rules. I mean, right now there are no guardrails in college basketball. And he's been dominating, but it's always hard for Act 3.
I think he could wait, and if the Celtics blow the finals, he could have the Celtics job. Wait 2 weeks.
Adrian Wojnarowski called it relentless pursuit, the Lakers, as they are trying to land Danny Hurley. We'll be right back. Palms pressing 3 and our pro tip of the day coming up as we wrap things up on the Lombardi Line.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Bonatoni, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're this close to crowning an NBA champ. Game 1 coming up tonight, and with the action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use our code VSiN, that's code VSiN, V-S-I-N, for new customers to get a $150 bonus bet when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Michael Lombardi, Stormy Buonantony, Mike Palm with you as we close out this Thursday edition of the Lombardi Line. Time for our pro tip, which was awesome. Thank you. Shout out Mike Somich for teaching us about a market that we did not know existed here on the show. He has a write-up on VSiN.com about it right now, Michael. But in Major League Baseball, if you're looking for a discount price for the home team, you can bet that team to not bat in the bottom of the 9th inning at DraftKings. He said that this market in general has been extremely mispriced. You can bet a yes or a no. You click the game, go to game props, scroll about 75% down the screen, and will the home team bat in the bottom of the 9th? Yes, no. Way better than a money line price available. So VSiN pro tips available at VSiN.com. Michael, did you know that market existed? I know I didn't.
I had no idea. I don't know many markets in baseball. I tend to not be shopping in that
Fair
aisle.
Point.
Kind of like the cereal aisle. I don't want to go down there. I'll buy everything. So, I had no idea about that one.
Tom, have you taken advantage of that ever?
Well, first of all, I've never heard of it. And I'm not on the DraftKings app because I can't bet on DraftKings. But that's new, and it's very interesting. A little bit like in regulation, except not because you're getting 8 at-bats versus 9. So I imagine the pricing's got to probably be 20 cents, 30 cents. Wow.
Yeah. 50 cents. That's what Somich told
do
us
that
earlier.
Instead of laying 1.5.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So that is our VSiN pro tip, available at VSiN.com each and every day, searchable by sport and by show. So if you're looking for pro tips specifically from the Lombardi Line, that's how you can find it. Okay, time to close out the show like we do every Thursday with Mike Palm. Palm's pressing 3. Roll that open.
Pressing? Yes, I say it's pressing.
This is Palms Pressing 3.
Now, my mother told me never to answer a question with a question.
Sir, my client has answered every question asked by this committee with the utmost sincerity.
Michael, as question 1, as spring turns to summer and the NHL and NBA finals conclude and more attention focuses on future betting in the NFL, one of the teams I admittedly don't have a great handle on is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they went 4-13 last year, but Kyler Murray missed the entire offseason with the ACL and didn't come into week 10. They were 3-4 in his 7 starts and probably should have won that game at Houston as well. What is your projection for Murray and the Cardinals in this second year of the Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing offense?
Well, they're going to be better defensively. They just have to be. I mean, they were 31st in points allowed. They were horrible in creating turnovers, 27th. They were bad in field position. Every category you could think of. I mean, passing touchdowns, they were bad. Rushing attempts, teams could just run the ball up and down the field on them, so they're going to be better. Think about this, Mike. They saw the least amount of rushing attempts against their opponent, and their opponents gained the most yards. Think about that. They're the worst team run defense in the league in terms of yards, and they saw the least amount of rushing attempts. Pretty hard to do. So we know they'll be better in that area. As for Murray, that's the million-dollar question. I'm not sold that he's going to be a good player because other people have finally gotten a read on him. They understand what he's good at doing and what he's not capable of doing. And he stays in the pocket and has to be a pocket passer. He plays small. There's no question he plays small. Last year he threw 10 touchdown passes in his 8 starts, threw 5 interceptions. He didn't have the same effect running the football. They'll be better with Harrison. The offensive line will continue to get better. I thought Connor was great running the football. I really do. But I'm not a believer in him, but there is the chance that they're going to get better because they saw rock bottom. When you give up that many yards on the ground, your defense is so bad that I think. But look, remember, they went into Philadelphia and beat Philly. They scored a zillion points on Philly, moved the ball up and down the field. When we saw Philly play in week 7 of the season, the Miami vaulted Dolphins and their attack couldn't move the football at all on them.
Michael, quick follow-up. Who has the better chance of playing at an elite level this year, Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson?
Ooh, good question.
I would say Watson, and only because Watson can still make plays with his feet. I think Watson is not just limited to being a pocket passer. They can move him around. Whereas I think for Murray, it's all about movement. If you make Murray stay in that pocket, he plays at 5'11". He doesn't play big. Look, let's face it. Before he got hurt, he was 3-8 the year before. And 20 was his best season. And that was an 8-8 team. I mean, he's yet to produce winning numbers for them. He's 28, 36-1 as a starting quarterback in the league. Now, he's got this perception that he's elite because he makes these incredible highlight plays. But does he make plays to win games when it matters? I don't think so.
My question, too, Michael. The Commanders signed place kicker Brandon McManus to a one-year, $3.6 million deal on March 16th. On May 24th, two women filed a lawsuit in Duval County accusing McManus of sexually assaulting them on the Jaguars charter plane to England for the two games in London. On Sunday, the Commanders released McManus. My question to you as a former NFL executive is what goes into the due diligence process when considering acquiring a player, and should the Commanders have caught this before they signed McManus?
Oh, they have egg on their face, Mike. And if you worked for any owner or worked for any president, they'd be coming down, and you would have to really reevaluate your protocols on how you were going to evaluate who you're bringing into the organization. Because I think this was pretty much common knowledge by people in Jacksonville that something happened on that airplane. You could see some of the commentary that came out. And so you really have to wonder about what is Washington's security office doing, right? So Adam Peters, the new president, general manager, all the titles in the world, they have a security office. And before you sign a player, you say, hey, let's run a check on this. Let's find out what we can if there's any problems here. You start with the league office. You ask if there's any investigation going on. Obviously, they didn't do that because I'm sure the league has known about this. Like, this didn't catch them by surprise because it was a team charter. And I think there'll be some residual effects on Jacksonville because it was now told that they had alcohol on those flights. And we know through what happened with the Tennessee Titans, their offensive coordinator there, coming back, getting a DUI, return trip from Green Bay. John Robinson was the general manager of the team. They allowed that to happen on the aircraft. That's against policy of the league. There should be no alcohol on any aircraft coming home, and because it can only lead yourself to problems, right? If they have alcohol on the plane, people are going to get in their cars and drive from the airport. That's not a smart thing to do.
And I'll just tag this quickly with the due diligence aspect of it, especially when you think about the Commanders and the CVS receipt long list of issues that they have had organizationally for a long time. They should know better in a lot of these instances. They
signed your kicker from the UFL. The
Jake Bates, baby.
Here we go. All right, final question, and I didn't give you a lot of time, Michael, but as a great historian of the game, I wanted to ask you this. On Monday, we had learned that we lost the great Larry Allen, who passed away while vacationing in Mexico with his family at the age of 52. He was an 11-time Pro Bowler and 6-time first-team All-Pro, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2013, a part of that last Cowboys championship team. Where does Larry Allen rank all-time among the greatest offensive linemen?
Oh, he's in the top 20 players of all time. I think I had him in my top 25 players. He was in that category, Mike. This is a guy who dominated the game. I mean, as much as I love John Hanna, and I did, because as a kid growing up, the great John Hanna from the University of Alabama and the New England Patriots could run like the wind. His lower body, he looked like he had 2 tree trunks. But this guy, Larry Allen, this guy was different. He was everything that John Hanna was, better. And I think, he's going to go down as one of the best players in the league. He was physical. He could play anywhere across the board. That's the thing that really made him so effective, is he could play anywhere across the board. He was that good. So I just think, to me, when you look at Larry, I had him at 22nd overall on my top 25. He was in the first category. I had John Hanna ahead of him, and then I kind of moved him around because Hanna was so unique as a player. But this guy is a top 25 all-time player, and he will never move off that list. In fact, he probably will age better than ever before.
It's amazing. grew up in Compton, 4 different high schools, his 4 years, didn't graduate, then goes and plays at Butte, at Sonoma State, and ends up having one of the greatest careers of all time.
52, far too young, but nice to see the
Far too
NFL
young.
world sharing their thoughts and remembrances of Larry Allen. That's a wrap for us today on the Lombardi Line. Thanks for hanging out with us. Patrick Maher and the Sharp Money crew are coming up next on VSiN. If you're watching on DraftKings Network, it's Pablo Torre Finds Out. For Mike Lombardi, Mike Palm, I'm Stormy Bonantoni. Have a great day and good luck with your bets in tonight's Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
DraftKings, giving a bonus bet back if I lose so I don't have to sweat.